Botswana just discovered one of the world's largest diamonds, but who is really getting rich from this? Let's get to it. Hi, my name is Janita Maaya. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Gentle reminder to please subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that. Now let's jump right in. Recently, Botswana discovered one of the biggest diamonds, I must say, that I've ever seen in my life. And this has caused like some type of global interest. But here's the catch. This diamond does not belong to the country Botswana. This diamond actually is owned by a foreign country. Yes, you had that right. A foreign mining company in Botswana has legal rights to that diamond that was found, and Botswana doesn't have any rights to it. Watch this clip.
Now, the second largest diamond ever found, a rough 2,492 carat stone, has been unearthed in Botswana at a mine owned by the Canadian firm Lucara Diamond. It's the biggest find since the 3,000 carat Cullinan diamond was found in South Africa in 1905 and cut into 9 separate stones. Botswana's government said it was the largest diamond ever discovered in the southern African state. Well, joining me now is our reporter, Emma McCarthy. Tell me more.
Lucy, Marilyn was right, wasn't she, when she said that diamonds are a girl's best friend? And certainly this must be one of the best.
They had it from the lovely lady. I liked what she said. A diamond is a girl's best friend. But unfortunately, that diamond is not Botswana's best friend because they do not own it. And it is indeed a foreign country that owns it. Now, when I saw that, the first thing that came to my mind is who is actually going to benefit from this diamond that was found in this African country? Do you think that the foreign country will actually reinvest into the country or reinvest locally so that it can boost the economy of Botswana? Or is seed country and its shareholders who are not from Botswana, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to take that money for themselves or not. Maybe they're going to invest. Who knows? But the thing is, what we do know for sure is that it will not benefit the people of Botswana directly. It is going to go to someone's pocket who invested in this mining country a long time ago. And that brings it to the aha moment for me. Foreign ownership in African countries. So many times, if you're an African watching this, or if you're interested in Africa, who knows? So many times we see so many foreign companies owning a large stake in an African country. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with investing in said country. There's nothing wrong with, trying to see if you can make it in Africa. Kudos to you. Yay for you. But there is something wrong when you find that in a country, so many citizens of said country do not own something of their own. These resources, these minerals, by the way, these minerals are being mined by foreign countries, and these foreign countries, like I mentioned, they do bring in the investment, but do you think they're going to leave the profits here? I remember studying this, I think it was in geography, and we're looking at foreign owned companies and, in the mining, I think it was Geog 3, I think it was a mining topic, and we're looking at mining companies in maybe an African country, and one of the disadvantages of a foreign mining company in an African country was that they were not going to spend the profits in an African country. Even you who's watching me, get off your high horse right now and tell yourself the truth. If you came across such a huge opportunity, you are taking that money back home, wherever home is for you. That's just the truth. And let's face it, only a small fraction of said profits is going back to the country. Imagine that. You find all these minerals in your country. God has blessed you so much to have all these minerals in your country, and you can't even benefit from the said minerals. Imagine how that must make the people of Botswana feel, or imagine how that makes me, a fellow African, feel. That my fellow Africans are not going to benefit from this diamond that they found. My fellow Africans are going to see like, yes, they found this diamond in this country, but we never got anything from it. Let's look at this video that explores the impact of foreign mining companies in Africa. It highlights the imbalance between the local benefits and the foreign profits.
Climate change seems to be the biggest issue for the younger generations coming up, and the decarbonization of the world, the electrification of the world seem to be at the absolute top, the tip of the spear. And is it worth thousands, tens of thousands of people who are either in forced labor or are risking their lives on a daily basis for not very much money to provide these metals, these minerals? There's a little kid in the Congo, 200 meters under the ground, picking at a blue metal, trying to bring it up to the earth so that he can make, $5 or $10.
Tragic.
So there's a cost.
There's another cost in that. Where's this money going? All this cobalt that's coming out, are corrupt leaders getting it? Are rebels getting some of that money? Is it going to create further violence? This doesn't sound very sustainable. Mining cobalt in the DRC does not sound sustainable.
No.
And not for the betterment of the world.
Like he has said, where is all this money going? There's a kid somewhere, he has mentioned, mining for these said minerals, and they are getting a penny of that money that mineral is going to generate. A penny, less than a penny of that money. And this brings me to my next point. There's something called the resource curse. And Google describes the resource curse as a phenomenon where countries with abundant natural resources experience less economic growth and development than countries with fewer natural resources. Now, we've seen over and over again, any African country that is rich in minerals, it doesn't look like it. Any African country that is rich in minerals is suffering in terms of infrastructure, in terms of a standard of living, in terms of security. And this thing looms, and this resource curse mainly happens when there's an imbalance in how the wealth is distributed. Like I mentioned, this small kid is out there digging for some blue mineral, but he's getting a penny of that money. And there's someone on top of the food chain getting all that money that this young boy has been, struggling for and picking for. Now, Botswana is, from the things I've seen, Botswana is an amazing country. It's a very peaceful country, and its progress is amazing, and apparently it has managed its diamond resources better than any other African countries. We're yet to see more of that now that they've gotten the second largest diamond from their country. We're going to see how they're going to handle that, and then we'll see how they will use that revenue for maybe national development, or is it going to end up benefiting some tycoon somewhere. I guess it's just a matter of time, and then we'll find out. I want you guys to watch this video. It explains more on the resource curse.
As the two names suggest, the resource curse, or paradox of plenty, revolves around the idea that countries rich in natural resources tend to do worse than everyone else when it comes to anything from economic growth to human rights. Examples were observed all the way back in 1711 by publications such as The Spectator, and modern-day ones abound from African nations to Venezuela. Explanations vary. For example, 1. The Dutch disease currency appreciation dimension, with the Netherlands discovering impressive natural gas resources in 1959. Unfortunately for them, natural resource exports led to an appreciation of their currency, and other exports as well as competitiveness across the board were negatively affected. 2. The lottery analogy, with nations being compared to lottery winners who end up losing it all due to not managing the various dimensions of their newly and easily gotten wealth properly. 3. The authorities being unable to properly cope with price fluctuations, as natural resource prices can swing wildly, and the governments of nations who rely too much on natural resource revenue not always planning ahead and reacting wisely. 4. Low-hanging fruit revenue, making those who run countries less eager to diversify and think long-term when it comes to, let's say, education spending, in light of how easy it can be to generate short-term revenue by facilitating the exploitation of natural resources. The list could continue, but an important observation needs to be made. Yes, examples such as over half of the 51 nations labeled resource-rich by the IMF being low and lower middle income countries are hard to ignore. And yes, individual in-your-face case studies such as Venezuela even more so. However, many economists consider the link between natural resources and suboptimal growth weak at best, with evidence such as the 2016 iOS working paper being quite compelling. As such, it's vital to understand that no, the resource curse is not set in stone. We're still working on understanding it.
We need our African leaders to negotiate better deals. I just did a video, I don't know if it will go up before this one, and I was talking about how we need to read the fine print. You know, it's like if a foreign company comes to a country and they're like, hey, we would like to do this. We're like, okay, fine, you'd like to do this in my country. How about these are the terms and conditions? If you find a huge chunk of a mineral, if you find a huge chunk of a diamond, then maybe 50 or 60% should go back to the country in terms of infrastructure or anything like that, instead of just going straight to the mining company's pockets. I mean, business-wise, there's a green area there, there's a gray area there. I think most African countries hold the power to make such decisions. It's just that they don't think they are worth making such decisions, because if someone comes to me and there's something I have that they need, then trust me, I'm going to negotiate better, because I didn't go to you, you came to me, you found something that I have that you want, and now you're here asking for it. So best believe that I'm going to look out for my best interest and make sure that I am protected as a brand. And that's how most African countries should be. You should say, you know what, if you're coming to my country, hire as many locals as you can, number one. And we're going to put it in the fine print that should you find anything big, that is going to be distributed evenly, so that people are not suffering, so that people are not earning pennies for the resources that God has blessed them with. We can also look at building local capacity instead of relying more on foreign countries and foreign aid and foreign this. I'm sure there's a mining company in Botswana that could have had access to that area and gotten the diamond, and it could have benefited all the people of Botswana easily without having to give away your resources or your minerals to a foreign establishment, and you're not even sure if they're going to reinvest that money back into your country, or they're going to take that opportunity to actually exit that country. I want you guys to look at this.
Thank you for joining us. Mining contracts have long been plagued by accusations of unfair terms, where one party, usually investors, wins at the expense of host countries. While the World Bank advocated liberal mining codes favorable to miners in the 1990s, African countries are now pushing back, demanding more from their resources. But can countries set a new mining order without jolting investors?
Under tremendous pressure to increase public finances, African mineral-rich countries are seeking greater agency in the governance of their natural resources, increased fiscal revenues, and local content provisions, in part by renegotiating existing agreements with miners. The countries are demanding more in taxes, royalties, and profit sharing. According to the IMF, across 15 resource-intensive sub-Saharan African countries, mining exports represent over 50% of total exports on average. Mining is also the main source of foreign direct investment. But revenue from mining accounts for less than 10% of domestic revenues. Endowed with the world's largest cobalt reserves, Congo is renegotiating a $6 billion infrastructure for minerals deal signed in 2008 with Chinese miners. Through the state auditor, Kinshasa has demanded that infrastructure investment be increased to $20 billion. The country had already signaled that it was no longer business as usual for miners when it introduced a new mining code that rattled Glencore. In Botswana, President Mokgweetsi Masisi has threatened to sever ties with diamond miner De Beers. Neighboring Namibia, too, has said it will be seeking a fairer deal for its diamonds from De Beers. The move points to a new development approach to mineral resources on the continent, with countries seeking a greater say over how their resources are exploited.
All right, guys, we've come to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I do not take it for granted. Thank you for staying to the end. Most people do not, and that is actually fine too, although I would appreciate it if they did. Anyway, guys, please make sure you follow me on my social media pages at Juanita Maaya on all platforms. Buy yourself a shirt that says Uganda looks good on me, or Uganda is calling, so I must go. I would appreciate your support. Also, please subscribe, hit the bell, like, do all the nice things, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.